Hello, gorgeous, and welcome to the Midlife Realignment. I'm your host, Esther Blum, and I'm here to disrupt the narrative on perimenopause and menopause with humor, nutrition, hormones, and fierce self-advocacy. Together, we'll rewrite your story and the rules because there's a light at the end of the vaginal tunnel. Let's go. Today on the Midlife Realignment podcast, I am going to be going in deep on how I'm getting ready for my TED Talk. And while you may all not be giving a TED Talk, certainly the lifestyle tips and the biohacking that you get from this podcast will be truly valuable and is applicable in so many situations. But before we dive in, I just want to share some love from one of our listeners, because this podcast review genuinely made my day. I truly look forward to every episode of this podcast and always end up sending it to friends with you have to listen to this text. Like everything Esther does, it combines solid expertise and useful information with warmth, laughter, fun, and plenty of irreverence. It's a great time and also chock full of important info, worth every second of your time. I mean, does it get better than that? Thank you so much for taking the time to write that. And reviews like this are what keep me showing up every single week. And they also help women find this show. So if today's episode resonates with you, please take 30 seconds and leave a review. It makes a massive difference. Okay, let's get into it. Today's Midlife Realignment podcast is about practicing what I preach and how I'm holding my shit together before my TEDx. So the title of my talk is Antidepressants, Birth Control Pills, and Wine, the prescription pad of misogyny. And for those of you who are in the Bloomington/Normal, Illinois area, tickets are available. My TED Talk will be taking place on Saturday, April 11th. So I look forward to seeing you all there. All right. So as you can imagine, while I'm getting ready for my TED Talk, my cortisol has definitely taken a little bit of a hit. Sometimes it's spiking more at night and it's lower during the day. And I'm noticing this because I'm having a bit more brain fog. My sleep is not as deep for as long. And, cortisol is a stress hormone that our bodies naturally make. Our bodies produce it in the morning to get our ass out of bed. And it rises and peaks around noon, and then slowly, gently declines throughout the afternoon and then the evening so that you can go to bed and stay asleep. But in spite of meditating and relaxing before bed, if I'm not careful, if I don't make a list of things I need to do before bed, if I'm not doing my deep breathing, my cortisol definitely is coming up, and I'm waking up at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning with a spike, and I start writing lists down and my mind just starts running. So cortisol is your performance hormone, but it's also your sabotage hormone. I call it your Goldilocks hormone. Some is good, too much can be bad, too little can be hard on the body as well. And when we have chronically elevated cortisol, disrupts your sleep, it tanks your progesterone because stress from the brain is going to send messages to your ovaries to stop ovulating because you're in a state of fight or flight. Right? So it elevates your blood sugar and it accelerates your muscle breakdown. So we don't want that to happen. And also, cortisol, for better or worse, affects your cognitive performance under pressure. And research shows that the higher your cortisol, the worse your memory retrieval will be. And I remember when I was in private practice in New York City, my father had many successive hospital admissions. And I remember going into my office and seeing 2 patients in the waiting room at the same time. And I had literally double booked their appointments, and other people I didn't show up for. The cortisol production that was happening for me, the emotional stress, completely wipes out my memory when I am under high stress. That's when I will find I get forgetful, I miss appointments, or in that case, I double booked. So cortisol really affects word recall and executive function as well. So how ironic, right? I'm literally preparing a talk about brain fog, and I am managing the conditions that cause brain fog. This is currently my life. So, we have to laugh at this, but also use different tools. So let's talk about that. First, we start with nutrition because this is ground zero. I cannot out hormone or out supplement my nutrition ever. So I am religious about protein at every meal. Muscle preservation is non-negotiable under stress. And I've mentioned in previous podcasts, building muscle for me is a slow, gentle process. I recently took a class at a bar studio that kicked my ass and made me feel afterwards like I was an empty shell. I just was burning on fumes. I was absolutely exhausted. It just didn't have enough built-in rest time for me. And while I could keep up with the strength work pretty well, it just wasn't that, my cortisol is too low during the day to handle it right now. So diet becomes even more important when workouts are not optimal for me. So my specific targets are 40 to 50 grams at a meal. And I get this through a protein smoothie in the morning. I have 2 scoops of whey protein powder in my smoothie alongside 1 to 2 tablespoons of flax or chia. I'll do a cup of hemp milk or macadamia nut milk. And then I add in a cup of cherries or a banana. Super simple, clean, easy. I put in my creatine. I put in gut soothing powders. Sometimes I'll put in my probiotics depending on my mood. And I also have a shot every morning of ginger with a shot of tangerine juice. Oh my God, it's so delicious. My mouth is watering thinking about it. It's just so tangy, keeps my inflammation down. And then lunch is usually leftover chicken thighs, chicken breast. Sometimes it's steak. Sometimes it's eggs. And I'll do 2 eggs and 2 whites or 4 to 5 ounces of protein. And then dinner, we do steak, we do fish, shrimp, chicken. That's a non-negotiable for me. Also, blood sugar stability is a really important cognitive strategy. I would be lying if I didn't tell you that I have been snorting lines of M&Ms off the countertop at night. I have about a tablespoon. I do like them at night, but they are screwing with my blood sugar stability, so they're going to go. When we screw with our sleep and when we elevate our cortisol at night, right? That directly affects word retrieval. That affects working memory. And when we are not sleeping well, that's also going to cause a major dent and lead to brain fog and lead to sluggishness and really be the antidote to productivity. So we have to remember the importance of keeping sugar on the down low alongside our protein, okay? Here's what I'm not doing to prepare for my TED Talk. I am not restricting myself on a low-calorie diet. I am not skipping meals. I am not using coffee as a meal. For those of you who do use coffee as your morning meal, I strongly urge you to add in, at the very least, some collagen or some whey protein powder to offset, to blunt the cortisol rise you get with coffee. I do have a cup of Earl Grey tea in the morning, but that's it. That's my only caffeine for the day. And even that I can skip and be okay. I'm not really a caffeine person. Supplement-wise, I always take magnesium glycinate. I take 500 milligrams a half an hour before bed. Now, there's so many different kinds of magnesium. There's magnesium for bowel relaxation. There's magnesium for mental focus. I use magnesium glycinate because This form of magnesium is specifically directed or targets anxiety. It's very calming. It's great for relaxing muscles. It's great for autoimmune conditions and fibromyalgia because it's absorbed so easily and it doesn't cause any GI upset. So this is a stress mineral, you can use before bed. I also take a little bit of calcium and iodine at bedtime as well. Those are calming minerals for me and support thyroid function. I've also been adding in a bit of ashwagandha, and a little goes a long way. Too much can cause anxiety, so a little bit brings that evening cortisol down. But also adaptogenic herbs like rhodiola, holy basil, those are very calming adaptogenic herbs that support the HPA axis and support your adrenals so that you're not pumping up all this cortisol. It just brings you into greater balance. So whatever's in your current stack is great. Now, alcohol, okay? Babes, this is the hardest conversation about what it does to your sleep and cortisol and performance. And yes, again, I will tell you, I've had an Aperol spritz or two in the last week. It's clear to me I am numbing my stress, and it's got to freaking go because every time I do it, it wrecks my sleep. I wake up with my heart pounding. My liver is detoxing alcohol at 3 a.m. It's putting my estrogen metabolism on hold, and it's driving up my cortisol when my blood sugar crashes. So that will be going. There will be no more alcohol between now and my TED Talk. And really, I don't drink it often at all. Usually I'll have 1 or 2 cocktails a month at most. So the fact that I've had 2 this week tells me, like, Esther, what the hell? What are you doing? You've got to cut this out. It's just, it doesn't work for you. And my sleep has to reign queen over my metabolic domain. So I'm not perfect, but I'm keeping it real with you. And I negotiate with myself about all of this. I talk about this with my clients too all the time, is what are the steps you need to do to bring yourself into alignment with your goals? Not sleeping does not bring me into alignment with my goals. It doesn't clear out my brain fog, and it doesn't help me memorize 10 minutes of a running monologue. With TED Talks, everyone thinks, oh, no problem, you have cue cards. You do not have cue cards. It's all in your head, and you're filmed, and there's an audience of 200 people. I did theater many years of my life. I'll never forget. I was the lead in my camp play. I was the lead in many camp plays, but this one was Oliver Twist. And not only did I have all my lines to remember, but I went to a Jewish camp. I went to Camp Ramah in New England. And so all of my lines were in Hebrew. So I had to be the lead in a play speaking a language that I don't normally speak. So my mom and brother came up. They drove up to Massachusetts to surprise me. They brought me a dozen roses. I mean, it was like chucking rain. And they drove up to see me, get up on stage, and what happens? I forget all my lines. Like I'm about to sing a song. I can't remember anything. I panic. I look at the director, Larry, and I'm just, with clenched teeth, I'm like, I can't remember the words. And he's like, sing la, la, la. So I sang the whole first verse, just la, 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 la. And then the words came to me, right? But, I can't sing my way through my TED Talk. I've got to know everything. So that means for me, keeping myself accountable to, booze-free, lots of protein, calming supplements, supportive workouts that don't blow out my cortisol, but still, stress my muscles like calisthenics and bar and light weights. But for me, blowing out my workouts right now, the next 2 weeks are not the weeks to take it on. So let's revisit the conversation on sleep again. This is the most powerful enhancer you have before giving a big talk, but also it's the most powerful enhancer you have for just getting through your day, for functioning at your job, running your home, having energy to work out, and just having your brain fire on all cylinders, because what sleep does to memory is so challenging, and what it does to brain fog is really a doozy. So here's my specific sleep protocol is in the evenings, I'll either read in bed or I'll watch some Netflix with my husband. But by 9:30, 10, I really start shutting down. And I love the ritual of washing my face slowly. I take time. I do some cleansing scrubs, or even just with a gentle cleanser, I'll just spend time cleansing my face. I spend time moisturizing. I spend time flossing my teeth, like just the rituals of winding down. And I admit, sometimes I'm so tired, I don't feel like doing any of it. But just having the wind down, my phone goes away. The nights that I dare check where my son is at college on, the Find My iPhone, if I see he's at the fraternity house during Hell Week, my cortisol is going to go up. So I really try to just be offline, and I'm really never on a computer past 8 because that kills my sleep. So getting rid of the screens, taking my supplements, dressing appropriately. In the winter, I'll wear, long cotton pajamas, but anytime it's above 35 degrees, I'm in shorts, sleeping with a down blanket and an Afghan on top of that, but I have to be in shorts. It has to be cool. I have to have a fan on. We keep our house at like 63 at night in the winter, and it's dark. My husband complains because I have blackout shades and we have a bench at the end of our bed. So he'll like trip on it going to his bed. He's like, this fucking bench. But I'm like, I need it dark in here. So it's pitch black in our room and it's cold, which is great. Now, I also take the following hormones before bed. I take sustained release progesterone. I take pregnenolone. All of these help produce GABA, and which makes very calming neurotransmitters. And I use a Femring, which is a 24/7 vaginal delivery of estrogen, because progesterone will help you fall asleep, but estrogen will help you stay asleep. It keeps me from hot flashing, keeps my temperature regulated. So this is really important. What happens when you're doing these things, but you're waking up at 2 a.m. with a racing mind? So here's my toolkit for that episode is I keep magnesium cream next to my bed, and it's lavender scented, so it's beautiful. So I'll rub it on my forearms or behind my legs. If the magnesium alone isn't getting it, then I'll take some calming herbs like holy basil or California poppy. Or the other things I do are I have some homeopathics that calm a quiet mind. One is called gelsemium, and that is great before you have events or travel, because often my mind goes to rumination and will be like thinking about the TED Talk, thinking about the suit I'm going to wear, thinking about logistics, right? Or I will take aconite, which is great for like acute anxiety. So that you can also put these homeopathics in your water and sip them throughout the day. But supplements aside, right? Remember, I'm saying you can't always out supplement your lifestyle. When I'm ruminating, the key is to catch myself and also integrate breath work. So I do 4-7-8 breathing. For those of you who don't know what that is, you inhale for 4 counts, you hold for 7, and you exhale for 8. And usually if I do that 4 to 5 times, my nervous system will calm down and I'll fall back asleep. And a lot of times I'll say to myself, Esther, like just do your deep breathing. You don't even need all these supplements and creams. 50% of the time that works, 50% of the time it doesn't. So I have a big toolkit. It's extensive. I've honed it over the years. I know what works for me, because the fact is I have to have a brain that is rested, that's fed, that's hormonally supportive. And that's not woo, that's just neuroscience. Hey, gorgeous, real talk for a second. If midlife belly fat has moved in and absolutely refuses to leave no matter what you do, I need you to hear this. Eating less is not the answer. It never was. The reason that belly fat is sticking around is because your hormones are changing and your cortisol is likely through the roof, and your body is desperately underfueled in all the wrong places. I built my Macro Reset program specifically for women like you whose bodies have changed and whose nutrition needs to catch up. It's personalized, it's science-backed, and it actually worked. Head to estherblum.com/macros. The link is in the show notes. Your belly will thank you. Now, back to the show. Let's circle back to the movement conversation, okay? As I mentioned, I'm not doing long, intense, high-power cardio. What I do is I start and bookend my day with walking. I get on average 12,000 steps a day. Sometimes I meet friends on my walk. I see these goats that they are like, we have a deep, loving relationship. They come up to me, they nuzzle me with their heads or lay their heads on my arms. Like I'll reach my arms over their fencing and they just come right up to me and let me scratch them. So other times I'm hoofing it up. I live near some ass-busting hills. I do those hills 1 to 2 times per day. What that does is it regulates cortisol. It regulates your circadian rhythm too. Getting actual real light on your eyes first thing in the morning regulates your circadian rhythms, your sleep-wake cycle. And then when you bookend your day with it also, it's a great way to unwind, de-stress, but it's also where I practice my TED Talk. I have my TED Talk recorded on my phone. And so I'll play myself segments and then I'm talking it out the whole time. But in the morning on my walks, I do a moving meditation. I do a 5-minute meditation from Gabby Bernstein. So this is nervous system regulation. It's brain training. It's just rhythmic regulation. And again, it's the most beautiful, beautiful stress management. It also supports your lymphatic system. It supports your cognition. We know the research shows that walking and exercise draws blood flow to the brain, and that supports cognition. But you know what else supports blood flow to the brain is meditation. There's some really cool PET scans done on monks before and after their meditative sessions, and they have an incredible amount of blood flow to the brain after meditating. So all of these are beneficial. So yoga, breath work, whatever movements serve your nervous system specifically, go for it. There's no such thing as a bad workout. The only workout that is bad is the one you did not do. The other benefit of exercise, though, is just feeling confident on stage. You know, I don't enjoy feeling fat and bloated. I enjoy feeling lean in my power, shoulders back, core pulled in. You know, that translates into presence and authority. And I need to feel powerful in this body when I walk out there. That's not vanity, that's just preparation. Mentally and emotionally, this is where it gets really personal and really good for me. So something you may or may not know about me is that I am recovering perfectionist. This comes from childhood trauma. This comes from being a prover. This just is my type A Virgo. And a couple weeks ago, I was really stressed out. I was like, this is not sticking. I broke up my TED Talk into a playlist, right? For if it's 10 minutes long, each quote playlist is 2 minutes long. So I record it in 2-minute segments on my phone, and then I record it all at once. And as I memorize, I can do more and more sections together. But the second playlist, song 2, is the hardest one for me. It's very dense. There's a very specific flow where I'm really talking about the Women's Health Initiative study and how women don't know how to ask for hormones. And it's got a very specific flow that I want to nail down. So I called my TEDx coach, Emily, and I said, I'm going to bomb this. this isn't sticking. It's not working for me. And it doesn't, the perfectionist in me has to get it perfect. And she was like, dude, the stress you have on this is far worse than you not getting the script perfect. A, no one's going to know the script isn't perfect. B, you have enough under your belt to wing the whole thing if you had to. So just relax. Don't worry about it. I'm going to be in the front row. So if you screw anything up, I'm going to be sitting in the front row saying, hey, it's this line. You talk about the Women's Health Initiative study, because what people don't know about the TED Talk, now you're really knowing how the sausage is made. But if you screw up, right, it's filmed, the audience will know, but they're there to support you. So if you screw up, the film editor edits out all the parts where you screwed up. So what you get is a very beautifully wrapped package in the end, and no one is the wiser. I can't even tell you how much space and permission and freedom it gave me to not be perfect, because my operating system is to deliver. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, I'm the closer for the talk. I'm the last one. So I've got to fucking deliver in my head. But the universe is like, Esther, no, actually, you can go out there not perfectly polished. You can still deliver, and you can still have an impact on women's lives, because the reality is this talk is not about me. This talk is all about you. It's about teaching you advocacy. It's about adding levity to menopause, and it's about educating the hell out of you. So I'm very held and supported with TEDx team. And I love my co-speakers. They're just incredibly wonderful humans. And the volunteers, shout out to you all who are volunteering, who are supporting me, who are organizing this event. You have been amazing. Number two, of course, my friends, my family, my husband. My husband will also know my TEDx talk at the end of the week, from me saying it so many times. But also, like, I have cousins who are very successful actors in LA, and they're like, Esther, run it in front of us. And my cousin Melissa in particular, she's been running me through and is like, here are all these tricks and tips to memorize. So I have a lot of anchors and really great support. So I'm forever grateful there. But also, again, regulating my nervous system with breath work is really important, because I hold a lot of tension in my body, particularly my pelvic floor. And I keep putting my hand over that area and saying, you're safe, it's okay. And just getting me to come down and regulate my nervous system is great. Here's also where it gets really personal for me. The shift in identity for me has also been such an exciting place of growth, is stepping into leadership, not just being a provider or a teacher, but understanding that this is the work I was born to do. I was born to lead. I was born to teach all of you. I was born to advocate in DC. And it's taken me a long time to evolve into that role, to do the personal work for the growth that is required to step on a stage. A few people recently asked me, why are you doing a TED Talk? I was like, to have an impact, to change lives. But most people don't realize the amount of growth it takes to put yourself out there, to be vulnerable, to be subject to trolls. And you're not doing it for you. And when you understand that you're in a place of giving and growing and gaining, that's really the most elevated, impactful energy that you can have, because I love all of you so much. You have all enriched my life, and I'm here to just keep growing and enriching yours, because a rising tide floats all boats. And the feminine energy we have collectively is unstoppable. So that's what this really brings up for me, is getting louder, becoming more bold, stepping into my greatest power. And yes, I'm holding both fear but excitement at the same time. So There is a version of me that has been waiting to say these words out loud on a stage for a very long time. So I'm learning to let her show up. All right. So here's what I would tell any woman preparing for her greatest moment, preparing for leadership, preparing for just personal growth. This is my first and most important one, and this is what I teach my clients every single day. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You don't have to be perfect to get the job done. Perfection does not exist. And my oldest brother's a musician too. And he, I've gone to thousands of gigs of his over the years, and he'll be like, oh, I messed up this one section. And I'm like, no one else knows but you. So you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. Number 2, your body is not the enemy, it's the vehicle. And when we stop punishing ourselves for our bodies not being perfect or not being as controllable as we would like, and start exercising compassion and grace and self-love, that's how we harmonize. Our body is not the enemy. There are some days where I'm super bloated. There are some days where I'm not. There are some days where I have energy. There's some days when I do not. So I have learned to give myself a lot of grace. I used to be very cruel and speak to myself in a very negative way. If I had gained weight or my body wasn't where I want it to be, now I'm just kind and gentle. And I ask my body, what do you really need right now? What do you need? How can I love on myself today? Number 3, hormonal support is not cheating, it's preparation. I have this conversation with thousands of women over social media, over, lectures and talks. They say, we don't need hormonal support. You know how I feel about that. It's another useful tool that can actually be transformational and life-saving. Use what you need to do to get sleep and perform. Do whatever it is you need to do. Okay? The week before a big event, think about what you need to dial up and what you need to dial back, right? Do you need to ramp up your protein and fiber and dial back on your alcohol? Always a good idea on all those fronts. All right. Now, the day of your protocol, let's say that I've run a million road races. I ran a marathon. I was so dialed in on what I ate race day versus preparing for races and long runs. So it's no different. If you know you have butterflies in your stomach and there's no way you're going to digest your food, you're going to puke it up or feel like there's a rock in your stomach, have a very light meal before. Or a protein shake. You can take a few sips, sip on that throughout the day. Just make sure that your blood sugar is stable. That's the key. If you are someone who doesn't usually fast, but you feel you can't keep things down, just take sips, small bites, have little bites throughout the day and keep your blood sugar dialed in. Breath work and meditation. The day of the TED Talk, you bet your ass I am going to be in that green room or walking outside with my headphones on. I play chakra clearing music. I play meditations. I will be physically moving my body. The reason why I walk so much is because it's how I get my stress out. I told you I hold a lot of stress in my body. Movement helps me release it, especially in nature. So, my talk is about misogyny in medicine and the irony of needing to be perfectly composed to deliver it is not lost on me. So I'm not going for perfect. I'm going for true and real. And I intend on making people laugh their asses off till the tears run down their legs. So to close, I'm the menopause expert who's managing her own menopause symptoms while memorizing a talk about menopause. So the content literally writes itself. And your cortisol won't care if you have a TEDx or a big presentation. It will take your progesterone and wreck your sleep and blank your memory. So manage it deliberately. Remember that sleep is how your brain files what you learned. And that's not optional. That's just neuroscience. So remember, white knuckling high pressure situations are not the same as being prepared. We need self-care under pressure. We need to love on ourselves and give ourselves grace. So thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again next week. Remember to leave a review, rate the show, follow me at Gorgeous Esther, and I'll see you next time. If you loved this episode, follow or subscribe to the Midlife Realignment wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube, and leave a review to help other women find this show.